What's up, everybody? You're very welcome along to Thursday night's Late Night Agenda. I hope that you're all well. As always, there is a lot of stuff to get through and not a lot of stuff to get through. I'm thinking of renaming the show from the Late Night Agenda to the Liverpool Fans Transfer Support Union at this point, because it's not been great reading for us Liverpool fans over the last few days, has it really, with regards to transfers? We've seen loads of great pictures of the guys training over in Austria, which is great. Some positive stuff around potential players tying themselves down to new deals, which is always good. There's been a bit more stuff around some players potentially leaving Liverpool, those who are on the fringes, but you know, there's been some very, very, very slim pickings when it comes time to players that we're genuinely interested in. So what we'll do as always tonight is we'll have a little chat. We'll tell a few jokes, we'll sing some shitty songs, we'll have a little bit of fun, we'll pick through the bones of the transfer talk, and we'll see how everyone's feeling. Sound good? That work for everybody? I hope that you're all well. Pat, how are you, mate? Welcome in. Brian, nice to see you. RSH14, David Newell, and all of our other mods as well in the chat. Nice to see you all in. When did the stream start? About 45 seconds ago, dude. So you're all good, my man. You're all good. Craig, you're on holiday in Ireland and it's lovely. Enjoy it, Joshua. Have yourself a good one, mate. I mean, I'm glad to hear you're giving Ireland a try. I hope you're enjoying yourself. You picked a good time. The weather's absolutely fantastic in Ireland at the minute. We have some hope on Saul, and I will get to that. That's a comment from Rory McCormick, and I will get to that in a couple of moments' time, because the Barcelona situation around Saul and their whole roster of players, if you want to call it that keeps evolving as well. We've got some more news on Grujic. We talked about him last night. Looked like he was Porto bound. Well, it looks like there's another club coming into the fold to try and get him, and then we'll grab out a couple of choo-choos as well along the way. Does that sound good, everybody? I'm in fine fettle tonight, and I hope you are as well. Did we turn down Kabak for $8.5 million? I hope that's not from the legitimate Irish Rugby Football Union, because that would be a very strange question. But yes, mate, we did. As per The Athletic and James Pearce, I actually read the article myself again yesterday, and I still can't find any rhyme or reason to why we turned down Ozan Kabak for as little as £8.5 million. I mean, if you remember, we were having a conversation towards the back end of last season where we were saying at 18 million he'd probably be worth a punt, going by what transfers fees that centre backs are going for these days. So at 8.5 million, for me, look, yes, there are some things you have to take into account. Obviously, how many overseas players we have in the squad, wages, loads of little bits and pieces, but I'm going to record a video when this finishes tonight, and it's going to be called My Ideal Summer Transfer Window. So I'm hoping that that's going to be out tomorrow or the next day. So keep an eye out for that one. And I'm going to go through what would be a realistic, but my ideal summer transfer window for Liverpool. What I would like to see happen. Right, what else have we got? Locatelli will join Juve. Yes, look, again, there's loads of talk around the likes of Berardi and stuff like that. And look, let's start off with the Marco Grujic topic, because that kind of leads us into Berardi and the wingers and everyone that we want to talk about. So what has been reported, I think again from Fabrizio Romano and many other sources, is that it's not just Porto who are interested in Marco Grujic. It did look like Porto were in the driving seat to sign Marco Grujic, but Sassuolo have apparently earmarked him as a replacement that they'd like to bring in for, I think, Locatelli, isn't it? Let me just check my notes. Yes, for Locatelli, who could go Juventus or somewhere else. So, you know, this is a good situation for Liverpool, because if you got two clubs wanting one of our players who were more than open to sell, then, you know, let's see what price we can get. It seems that around 13 million is the number that Michael Edwards and Liverpool are looking for. And, you know, I think it's a fair price, because Grujic, to me, I still think he's a decent player. So whether he goes to Sassuolo, whether he goes to Porto, whether he goes elsewhere, that remains to be seen. But what that does do is it frees up some money, it frees up some wages. Well, does it really free up wages? I don't know how much of his wages we were paying while he was on loan at Porto, if any of his wages, but it certainly does free up some cash. I think that's fair to say. Would you be against Awioni getting a chance? Do you know, I've been humming and hawing about this one, George, over the last couple of days, because, you know, you see him in training, you see what a big unit he is, you see, I've seen an interview where he spoke about Sadio Mane as well, and he was glowing in how humble Sadio was, and when he first met Sadio Mane, how Sadio gave him his phone number and, you know, told him to reach out if he ever needed anything. And it is a tricky one, because I've got to be honest and say, I don't know too much about Teo Awioni. I haven't really got a chance to watch much of him. So, he's certainly filled out and grown in and matured and become a big, powerful lad. So, he is at the training camp right now with the boys in Austria, and I'm sure Jurgen Klopp will be running the rule over him. But, we have heard, and again, let me just look through my notes here just to confirm this. So, Kloppo, these are his own words, not mine, thinks that there won't be much transfer activity with the likes of Jones, Elliot, Musialowski, Reece Williams, Shaqiri, Oxlade-Chamberlain, Minamino, all able to provide depth. Now, take some of that with a pinch of salt, because we do know some of those players could be moving on, Shaqiri and the like. So, don't take everything as gospel. And of course, the manager is always going to be supportive of the boys that are at the club already. That's no surprise to any of us. He is a giant, isn't he, Eugene? He is a big, big dude. And yeah, look, I mean, I'm all for having big units in our team, because we want to have that physical commanding presence as well. So you combine that with pace and power and some talent, and you could have yourself a fine player there. So again, watch what happens. I'm sure we'll see him in pre-season. I'm sure we'll see him get some minutes over the course of the game, so the club have arranged. Otavio has gone quiet, said Addison. Yeah, it has. It's gone very, very, very quiet, mate. It's almost as if his agent was just trying to get a move from him and that we were never really interested. But, everything has gone quiet, hasn't it? Now, we'll get on to the big ticket stuff. Don't worry, I'll talk about Saul, I'll talk about Griezmann, I'll talk about all that stuff a little bit later on as well. Of course, we'll do our regular ode to Hey Jude a little bit later on in the stream as well. Dara Azizi's in the chat. Dara, my man, it's great to see you in. I hope all is well, good with you and the boys. Lots of love to you over what I can imagine is only absolutely roasting Arizona right now. Yasir, always a great man for the super chats. Very kind of you, buddy. See, I did miss this one today. I seen it straight away. Bruce Lee or Muhammad Ali? Bruce Lee. It's got to be Bruce Lee. 1 inch punch. Do you know what I mean? 1 inch punch. You know or you don't know. But look, am I going near either of those two gentlemen back in the day? Am I? I'd run a mile, mate. Right, look, let's get stuck into more stuff. Keep your questions coming, because I'm going to mix this up a little bit tonight. I'm going to let you guys run the stream rather than me having my prepared stuff. I'm happy to just talk about whatever you want. Now, again today, I did reach out and I was told by my extremely credible source in Spain, and look, it doesn't take too much guesswork to figure out who I'm talking about here, but I was told that at Barcelona right now, the situation is that they need to free up money. That is no secret to anybody. So I explicitly asked about the Saul situation. So what I've been told is this, and I've been told that it's no problem for me to share this with you guys. So Diego Simeone really, really gets on well with Antoine Griezmann and have kept in contact even after Griezmann left Atleti to go to Barcelona. Now, does that mean that the Atleti fans will take him back? I don't know, but what is important in this scenario is how much scope and power that Diego Simeone has when it comes to the transfers of Atletico de Madrid. So keep an eye on that situation, but it keeps evolving more interestingly, because there's been another little curveball thrown out there today around the whole Griezmann to back to Atleti scenario, and it's that apparently now Barcelona are looking to get João Felix from Atleti. Now, they reckon they're worth about the same amount of money, and again, I would massively disagree on that one. But for me, if anybody at Atleti, and this is just me talking, even contemplates that deal, they need a P45. They need sacking immediately. But the whole stuff on Saul, the big question is, I suppose, does he want it? Because there's no denying that Barcelona would probably save around 12 million quid or so on wages if they brought Saul in to take on Antoine Griezmann's place. And look, with a very brief understanding of how amortization works across the length of contracts, it would help balance the books somewhat at Barcelona's end. But there does seem to be, and again, this is not my source talking, this is me talking, there does seem to be a little bit of hesitancy, at least that's what's being portrayed in the media, around Saul's willingness to apparently make that move to Barcelona. Some people believe he's awaiting an English Premier League club to come in and make him an offer. And look, if he is awaiting an English Premier League club to come in, it doesn't really take too much guessing as to who we might be waiting for. So if we do want Saul, it seems like he's there waiting for Liverpool to go and get him. And if we don't do it, I think it will be because Jurgen Klopp, Michael Edwards and the team have decided that he just simply isn't the midfielder that they want. So take from that what you will, but you're going to hear lots and lots and lots and lots of more pie in the sky stories and loads of weird stuff around Barcelona, because even if you just look at the Lionel Messi contract situation right now, he will remain a Barcelona player. He will sign on for 50% of his current salary, but that will be a 5-year contract, and what will actually happen is he'll probably do about 2 years in La Liga, and then he will go to, as an example, maybe the MLS, maybe back to Newell's Old Boys, I don't know where else, and Barcelona will continue to pay him 50% of the original salary over the course of another 3 years, meaning that by playing the waiting game and being patient, Leo will get himself an extra, let's say, half a year's salary than he would have over the course of taking the 2 big money deals, plus whatever else he can arrange, I suppose, with regards to merchandising and shirt sales or anything else with regards to if he moves over to the MLS or whatever it is. So looks like they'll get him done. But again, it was reiterated to me today that the likes of Aguero, the likes of Memphis Depay and players that Barcelona have already got deals done for, well, they can't register those players because they simply can't meet the financial restraints of La Liga, and they can't satisfy the numbers that need to be supplied to La Liga board, basically, to show that they are solvent. So even though these players have signed contracts, so we know Aguero's gone there, we know that Memphis Depay has gone there, and we know there's a couple of other players as well. Right now, technically, they're in limbo. If Sergio Aguero wanted to, and I'm not suggesting he will, if he wanted to go off and sign for somebody else, he's perfectly entitled to do so from what I read into the situation, because he signed a contract, but that contract hasn't been registered yet because it's not able to be registered. So, it's all fun and games at the minute, which is why you'll see a lot of hopeful stuff coming from the Barca side around any transfers and stuff like that. What have we got? I thought FSG, after their embarrassing Super League, would spend loads of money to try and make up for their mistakes. It looks like we're looking around bargain basement players. Look, I think we'd all hoped that FSG would do that, mate, but hoping and actually seeing something come to fruition is always different things. Now, look, what I will say is, and this isn't me being in defence of FSG, because I'm more than happy to question whether they're not putting their hand in their pockets, but the window ain't over yet, so just bear that in mind. Every time Craig says, but you keep a drink, oh mate, you'd be locked at this point, you know what I mean? You'd be absolutely stocious if you were to be having to have a little drink every time I said but, because there's going to be a lot of them in the stream, because, I could say one thing, but then again I could say another. What do you do if you wake up tomorrow and see that we've signed Jude? I know it's impossible though. Well, the first thing that I do is get 2 quick cups of coffee into me and turn the computer on and get on here gloating and gloating and gloating some more, and then get on to every platform that I'm on gloating and gloating and gloating some more, and then I'll probably continue to gloat. I'll then go and record umpteen versions of Hey Jude while I'm gloating, whilst continuously gloating on my phone as I'm gloating into the microphone. So there'll be a lot of gloating involved probably, but as you say, it's not going to happen, is it? Did you see the size of Naby? I mean, I can't imagine he's grown any taller than he was, so I imagine you're talking about in physique. What have we got? MALEN will sign for Dortmund as a replacement for Sancho, and I have been telling people this for a couple of weeks now. I mean, I play down a lot of the information that I get given, and I play down a lot of the stuff that I know because I don't want to do the ITK stuff. It's not me, but I'm not an idiot when it comes to football stuff. I do hear stuff, I do get told stuff, and I do read a lot. So yeah, look, Daniel MALEN, while it hasn't been signed off yet, Mino Raiola has a good relationship with Dortmund. He has Haaland there at the minute. I mean, you've probably seen the articles doing the round as well that suggest that if Mino Raiola gets a deal for Haaland to Chelsea or wherever it might be, he wants €40 million commission. €40 million commission. He basically wants an Ibrahima Konate just for facilitating the deal for Haaland to go from Dortmund to wherever he goes to. This is why I get so wound up by some agents. I have to say some, because of course there are some great agents out there that aren't creaming off football like some of the top boys are. But Mino Raiola is in a league of his own. €40 million is apparently the number he's looking for to facilitate being the key word here, any deal for Erling Haaland to go wherever it might be this summer. That is absolutely disgusting. Fabrizio said we'll sign somebody in the coming weeks. Who do you think it is? I don't think he even knows who it is, and I don't mean that in a disparaging way. What I mean is the club play their cards very close to their chest, and I think, again, having not seen what Fabrizio had said here, I think it's probably just something to do with the fact we all know that it's going to be an attacking wide player and a midfielder that are probably going to come through the door. Right, let's talk about Ismaila Sarr for a little minute, because he's somebody whose name has once again been brought to the fore today. I think it was 90mins.com or whatever it is. And look, wouldn't be somebody I'd ever look at for transfer news stories. That's you know, the politest way I can put that. I don't know anybody involved in it, but I do see a lot of nonsense written from that site. But you know, I'm not here to judge whether people know things or don't know things. All I can ever do is really give my take on a scenario. And for me, I don't think anything has changed around Sarr. So what we've consistently been told is that the reason that a wide attacking forward or an attacking player is priority number one is because we are going to lose boys to the AFCON. So we're going to lose Mohamed Salah, we're going to lose Sadio Mane, and we're going to lose Naby Keita. Now, Keita we could probably cover in midfield, but losing the two attacking boys, you know, even though it is just for 2 games maximum in the league plus a couple of cup games, it still seems to be the priority. So I don't see a world where going back to Watford, who have now just been promoted back up to the Premier League, and going back to the Potsy family and saying, do you remember when we came to you and we looked for Ismaila Sarr before, and you told us you wanted a lot of the money up front and you wanted a pretty good amount for him, and we said we couldn't afford it? Well, now here we are again in a situation where our financial situation hasn't really changed much. We went and signed Diogo Jota because we could pay 9.5 million up front and the rest of it over the course of his contract, and because he's a damn fine footballer. So why would we go and sign Sarr, who's off to the AFCON with Senegal? It just doesn't make sense, does it? I'm not knocking the kid as a player, because clearly somebody Kloppo likes or the club wouldn't have inquired about him. But it just doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever as to why we'd go back now for somebody when we know the kind of response that we're going to get, and they are now a Premier League club again, and he will be playing in the Premier League. So if anything, their stance will have strengthened on the player. So to me, it just doesn't make any sense, and I would have to say that I would be shocked if we rekindled our interest in Ismaila Sarr, as decent a player as he is. Joel Morris said, Craig, would you take Jude Bellingham at Liverpool? Mate, how can I say this knowing that there's kids watching? It would be tissue time if Jude Bellingham arrived at Liverpool, put it that way. There'd be a lot of young Judes born, I would imagine, around Europe if he came to Liverpool. Bobby Firmino needs some competition. We need a clinical 9. Stephen, how do I say this without being narky? Because I know you don't mean anything disrespectfully, Stephen, but this to me is a case of not knowing the way that we play in our system. We don't play with a striker, mate. We never have under Jurgen Klopp, and we never will under Jurgen Klopp. We use our number 9 as a foil and as a 9.5 almost. So the reason you see players linked like Daniel Malen or Sarr or whomever else you want to see is that they can usually play versatile across the front 3 somewhere. We attack from wide areas, and we use Bobby Firmino as link-up, or we use whoever plays in that position usually as a link-up. So we've never used the striker, mate, and I don't see a situation where we're suddenly going to go out and buy a striker. All the signs point to another wide forward, somebody who can maybe drop and play between the lines as well. And, you know, whether you agree with me or disagree with me, just look back over Jurgen Klopp's time at Liverpool and tell me when we've really deployed what we class as a striker. Braithwaite. All right, now relax, Michael. Put the sherry down, fella. Put the sherry down. You know, Braithwaite's, propping up Lionel Messi there at Barcelona. If we could have a 9 as a plan B, what would it be a good idea? I don't like a plan B. I think it was Pep Guardiola said this before. If plan A isn't working, then you need to rework plan A. I like that. Now, that doesn't mean we can't make small tactical tweaks in games. Benteke, we didn't sign Benteke when Klopp was here, mate. He was signed before Klopp arrived. But even at that, mate, that's a bleeding stretch. I mean, going with Benteke, I mean, even calling him a striker, I think it's a stretch. Where was I going with this? And we've got Musialowski, by the way, who likes to dribble with the ball, models himself on Lionel Messi, and he's coming through, and we got to make sure there's a pathway there for him as well. So, yeah, it's a tough one, because look, I'm not against us using a number 9. I wouldn't be against us going out and buying a Danny Ings or somebody like that, but I'm just based off, it would have to require a big change. And again, if you read what Pep Linders wrote in The Athletic in his Euro diary, you will see that there's a reason the system that we play is the way that we play it. He explains it way, way, way better than I could ever dream of doing, which is why I tried to point you guys towards that article the other day, because Pep Linders is just a genius, and it's very rare that we get an insight into Pep's mind, and that fantastic piece that he's done right throughout the Euros and The Athletic was brilliant. Craig, check one football. There's an update. I don't need to check anything with regards to Spanish football. I have one man that I go to for Spanish football, and that's it. I don't need to check any apps. I don't need to read what anybody else has to say. I've said it to you before, I'll say it again. Spanish and German football, I'm good. I can go straight to lads that I trust. Anything outside of that, I'm useless. I'm about as good useful to you as an ashtray and a motorbike. But when it comes to Spain, honestly, I've got my finger on the pulse on that one. And look, the deal isn't dead. I mean, I'm not saying Saul couldn't arrive at Liverpool, because it looks like from the outside he might be waiting for a come get me from Liverpool. But again, what we're constantly being told is midfield isn't the first priority. Getting a wide player is the priority, and a midfielder will come later in the window. Now, again, my reading on that is that we're going to try and drive a hard bargain and save money, because that's the way it's been under FSG. And I've got a gut feeling that we'll probably end up putting in a late bid for Renato Sanches. I'm not saying that will happen, nor am I saying that that's the right thing. I'm just saying, if I put together all the other transfer windows and everything else that's happened, that's probably where I see this going. Whether that's right or that's wrong, that's over to you to decide. But would I take Saul? Of course, absolutely. 26 years of age, bulletproof, be a very, very good genuine Yalden replacement. So would Bissouma. I don't know much about Neuhaus, to be honest with you. And again, from reaching out to the people in Germany that I have, the feedback that I've gotten has always been another year at Borussia Mönchengladbach and then off to Bayern Munich, even though he himself publicly denied that. And while we're talking about Bayern Munich, by the way, we can put to bed any interest that Liverpool may have in Kingsley Coman, because that's been denied from our side this time, and not just their side, because we'd seen mad numbers quoted by Bayern Munich, I think €90 million or something like that. I still like the idea of the Dybala. He's more of a creative 9. The speed wouldn't. Do you know what? If we're looking at that type of player, for me, Lautaro Martinez would be the name. If you're looking for that type of player that you're speaking about there, somebody who can drop a bit deep, who can link play, but can also get into the box and score some goals, then Lautaro Martinez would be where my money would go. But we're at a point now where Inter Milan are looking to keep hold of their star. So Nicolo Barella, somebody who would be very, 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 he'd be numero uno with a bullet at the top of my list of Liverpool midfielders that we should go to buy. But they won't sell him, and they don't want to sell Lukaku, and Lukaku doesn't want to move. So Lautaro Martinez, he's always struck me as a Barcelona player in waiting. Has anybody else ever gotten that vibe? Sometimes you look at a player and you think, he'll probably end up here. To me, I've always been able to see him in a Barcelona shirt. Now, whether that's this year or not, I doubt it, because Barcelona are in such a mess. But Yeah, I mean, that to me would make more sense than Dybala. Right, what else have we got? I wish we went for Rafinha. Again, there's some players who would have there's loads of players who I would happily welcome to Liverpool. Rafinha would have been one of them, even though it's come to light that we don't have any interest. Neto, I would happily have Pedro Neto at Liverpool. Harvey Barnes, I would happily have Harvey Barnes at Liverpool. And look, I don't want to give away too much because I am going to record my ideal transfer window video after I finish this stream tonight. So, we don't want to give away too much, or there'll be no point in you watching it. Sabitzer is a shout. Is he good enough though? I mean, I don't think Sabitzer is good enough. What about Szoboszlai? That's got really quiet as well. Do you remember we were linked to this guy? I think he's Hungarian, isn't he? I mean, the reason the name sticks in my head so much is because I had to put it into Google to learn how to pronounce the name. But Szoboszlai's name has gone very quiet. I don't know, has he gone elsewhere or has he just fallen off the radar with regards to Liverpool? I've seen Kane at United. Me too, chicken boy. I've always said that, yeah. I mean, he'll probably end up at City by the looks of things, but... Well, I say probably. I actually spoke to a Spurs fan last night, and he thinks that he'll end up staying at Spurs because of that 6-year contract that he signed that has 3 years left to run on it. But yeah, I get what you're saying. I've always looked at Harry Kane and thought he'd end up at United as well. So yeah, there are just... Isn't it weird that there are, like, as an example, if I look at Mohamed Salah, and look, I don't want to ever envision him moving away, but if he was to go to Spain... I only see him in a Real Madrid shirt. It's weird. I don't know if I'm the only one that has those weird little thoughts, but there you go. Could I sing Hey Jude, said Owen McParland. I feel like I'm gonna... Did you know all this stuff's just gonna come back to bite me in the... Na, 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 Hey Jude, 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 Jude. Neighbours are gonna absolutely hate me on, but you asked, mate, so there you go. Apologies for the awful singing, but that, there we are. These are the type of things that get clipped up and then I'm called an embarrassment by other Liverpool fans who have no context that we're having a laugh, but there you go. So na 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 na, fuck you. Do I think Takumi Minamino should or will stay? I was shocked that we let him move on at the end of last season for the second half of the season because, we could have done with another body in that position, let's be honest. So, I think if the right offer comes in, he might go, but genuinely it's not anything, or he's not somebody I have any information on. There is apparently still interest from Ralph Hasenhüttl in Southampton, but, mate, I'd be just guessing at this point. I don't know what's going to happen. Szoboszlai is injured, said Tom. Thank you very much, mate. I don't want the winger. We have Elliot and Taki. Yeah, the Takumi Minamino is a very, very interesting one because, did Klopp look at what he's seen at Southampton and think, okay, the boy can make it in the Premier League? Or was it he went to Southampton because Klopp had seen enough to know that he didn't think he was going to make it at Liverpool? It's a very difficult one to gauge. What we do know is, as of now, he's a Liverpool player, so we'll treat him as such, of course. If your ears start bleeding, the channel cannot be held responsible. Yes, absolutely. We're going to have to start putting stuff like that up, burn it out in the screen beforehand, You're right, we're going to have to put a disclaimer up or something. What about Saint-Maximin? I'd happily have Saint-Maximin, yes, but again, I think it would take... Liverpool signing other Premier League players, in my eyes, always seems very, very unlikely because of the premium we'd have to pay. So as much as we'd like TIELEMANS, again, we know it would take a lot of money. Saint-Maximin, a lot of money. Now, sometimes an opportunity comes where it suits both parties. So let's say with Wolves feel they got a good sum of money for Diogo Jota. That's sort of part of Wolves' model. And then they also got Keane Hoover going in the opposite direction, who filled a void that they needed filling after Doherty left and went to Spurs. So, sometimes there are obviously situations that work. Maybe a club is bringing in somebody else, or they think that player has peaked and it's the right time to move them on. But yeah, it's usually at a premium. Do I think Klopp thought Kabak was not good enough for FSG? Or FSG, excuse me. I would say that the decision probably rested with the manager, which for me makes it all the more weird. Like, let's say Nat Phillips leaves because he has been touted as being somebody who could move to Burnley or another Premier League club. Now, if he does go, well, that leaves us with Joel Matip, Virgil van Dijk, Ibrahima Konate, Joe Gomez, and, you know, Ben Davies, who we haven't seen a minute of. And then you look to the youngsters. So, Billy Comedio, Reece Williams, Sepp van den Berg probably going to go back out on loan. And is that enough depth going into the season? I mean, your initial impact or your initial thought would probably be yes. But mine would say, well, if you're willing to let Nat Phillips go, surely spending 8.5 million is worth it for a player that, if nothing else, I'd almost guarantee we double our money on in a year. So that's up there with the Gino Wijnaldum one for me as a real noodle scratcher. I mean, at 18 million, okay, I could understand maybe why Edwards and Klopp didn't think that it was value, but if he is genuinely available for 8.5 million quid, 9.5 million less than the option we had in the deal with Schalke, I'm baffled. I have to say, I'm absolutely baffled, because we could have moved a couple of young lads out on loan, got Reece Williams some more game time, got Billy Comedio some more game time, and then had a very fine group of 5 centre-backs that, you know, if we were stuck, you know, we could even look to bring one of the other lads back, put it in that Comedio or whatever can be brought back. So, yeah, for me, I don't understand it. You know, I know some people will look at this and go, I don't think he's good enough, Craig, and that's fair enough. But I'm looking at it from the camp of, well, I do think he was worth a punt, and I do think that there's a player there, and I do think he'll end up at somewhere like Leicester City or somewhere, and will look like a good value signing, because let's not forget, he's still only, 21 years of age, like Konate, who we've brought in, and yeah, for me at 8.5 million, well, what does 8.5 million quid get you these days? I mean, okay, yeah, got us Andy Robertson, but we did sell a player for the exact same money to going the other way to Hull. So yeah, I mean, I would have definitely said yes to that one. Van den Berg's gone out on loan to Preston. I didn't know whether that had been confirmed or not. Owen, I know he was keen to go back to Preston because he did really well there, enjoyed his time at Preston last season, and I just hadn't kept up to date to see if it had gone through or not. Berardi said Luke Higgins. Well, can I ask you guys a question on Berardi? Hand on heart. 26 years of age, had his entire pro career at Sassuolo. Do you think he's good enough? I mean, I'm not knocking Sassuolo because his numbers there have been quite good, but genuinely, before the Euros, was he a name on anybody's lips? Genuine, hand on heart question, because I have to say, I didn't even know about the guy before the Euros. Knew absolutely nothing about Berardi, and I don't think he's a genuine target for Liverpool either, if I'm being honest. I think the Sassuolo thing was again more linking towards the Grujic, and maybe a little something could be done to satisfy both parties. So, to me, I would think there's better options out there, like Jeremy Doku as an example. Not a proper winger, said D7V9D. Chicken Boy said no, looks too slow, said David Newell. RSH14 said don't think he's good enough. Glatzel on loan at Tranmere and Van den Berg on loan at Preston, both confirmed loans. Top man Tom, thank you for that one. Great to see Paul Glatzel getting back to playing as well after all the injuries that he's had. So, you know, there was high hopes for him when he was coming through at the same time as Bobby Duncan. So, you know, let's hope he can go and have a very good season there, banging a load of goals for Tranmere. Stephen O'Connor said, nah, he's not all that, Craig. See, there you go. Again, for me, I'm glad to see that people seem to be thinking the same way. I think there's just better value out there. Jeremy Doku is, you know, top of my list of wingers. I've made no secret of that. And then Ikone's gone very quiet as well, although I have heard a few mixed things around Ikone that, look, again, you hear lots of shit, don't you, about players' attitudes and stuff, and sometimes it's true, sometimes it's absolute nonsense, but you will ask yourself how many players maybe will Lille be willing to lose this summer. Would I take Paredes from PSG? I wouldn't take anybody from Paris Saint-Germain, mate, because in my mind, people sign for PSG for one reason and one reason only, and that's, for money. And I don't like players that are solely motivated by that. Now, I will give Mbappe a pass on that because he's the poster boy of French football, and yeah, look, I could see why he did it for Monaco at the age he was, but a lot of the players who have gone there, like Julian Draxler and stuff, it bangs of a payday to me. And even with Genie, I think, he looked at it and went, all right, look, Barca are in a bit of trouble. Liverpool don't want to give me a deal, and they've offered me an ungodly amount of money. So, I'm not knocking it. If people want to go and get paid, get paid. I mean, who am I to sit here and throw shade at anybody who wants to go and get a payday? I mean, footballers' careers are short. Go get your money, But, for me, no, I wouldn't. Loads of people saying Mbappe. I have just explained the Mbappe situation there. He's a young kid, was at Monaco, poster boy of French football. So, there are always some outliers to these things. Neymar would be sick at LFC. Now, we'd be sick of looking at Neymar at LFC, and I reckon genuinely we'd probably be at a point where we'd be booing him because we would be so sick of his antics and moaning. I just despise Neymar. I really, really do. He annoys the shit out of me because he's somebody that has everything available to be a Messi or Ronaldo, but without their drive and without their... I don't want to say heart, because look, to make it where he is, of course he's got some heart, but I just don't like his attitude. I really don't. I think he's a waste of a talent. And I think he's just, he's the ultimate young FIFA generation pin-up player, but nah, I'd never want him at Liverpool, never. Vernon said Ikone, Doku and Renato Sanches. I'd be very, very surprised if we got two wingers in, mate, but, Renato Sanches, we'll wait and see. You're also more likely to win something at PSG than Barca right now, to be fair. Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's a fair show. I mean, they've got a good manager in there now. I mean, I'm not saying Tuchel wasn't, but they've got another good manager in there now, obviously. And their goal is to win the Champions League, much like Pep Guardiola's goal at Manchester City is to win the Champions League. So, they've kept hold of Neymar, but I believe there's a clause in his contract that said if Mbappe gets sold, then there is something that can be triggered that allows Neymar to be sold. Again, that's what's being reported. What else have we got? Griezmann. I don't know what you really want on Griezmann. Okay. Sorry, that might have sounded a bit snotty, mate. That wasn't my intention. I'm just trying to scan back over in my head. Right, so, from what I've been told around the Antoine Griezmann situation is this. Himself and Diego Simeone, the manager of Atleti, have always been on good terms. They've remained in contact via WhatsApp, and Diego Simeone would be very happy to have Antoine Griezmann back at Atletico Madrid. Now, there are two sides from the Barcelona side to this. One is that the one that we've all heard about, that Saul is somebody who they're looking to do an exchange for Griezmann. And I think Barcelona would want some money along with that. Some people have said 15 to 20 million. And then there's something that came out a little bit later today that I haven't had a chance to ask my guy about because it happened quite late in the day. And that's that now apparently Barcelona, and even as I'm saying this, I'm laughing inside, are looking to get João Felix in a straight swap for Antoine Griezmann because they believe they're of the same value. Now, look, João Felix hasn't fully flourished yet, but Antoine Griezmann is at the very other age of, or end of the age spectrum. And to me, if that deal was done, somebody needs firing at Atletico because that to me is just wrong. So wait and see what happens. But as I said, whatever happens right now, Barca are just really, really looking to get players off the books and free up cash to balance things because they can't register any of the players that they've signed in this window yet because they don't meet the financial criteria to satisfy Tabas and the board at La Liga. So even Aguero and Memphis Depay and stuff, whilst they have signed contracts, those contracts haven't been registered with La Liga yet. So technically they're sort of in limbo. I would love Chiesa. I don't know if he is for sale from what I've read. I certainly would be absolutely shocked if Liverpool went for him. Excuse me. Tatanga said the Felix deal got rejected, Craig, straight away. Good. And so it should, dude, because that's just madness. But interestingly enough, I did read something a few months back that Atleti were... Now, I don't know if this is true or not. This was just an article I read. That Atleti were open to the possibility of selling João Felix. Now, I'm not saying that they would view a straight swap with Barcelona as a fair deal for Griezmann, but, I did read somewhere that they, if they got the right number, he could be available. Again, I don't know if that's true or not true. It's just something I read. Do I think João Felix will sign for Liverpool? No, absolutely not. I mean, the number that Atletico paid for him, I won't say he's not a fine footballer. And would I have him at Liverpool? Yes, probably. But I still don't know how Benfica got the number that they got for the kid. I mean, it is a huge amount of money. And yes, look, a lot of top clubs in Europe were chasing him, and maybe Atleti felt that they had to go big, but they went really big for that deal. Do I think Gomez could be back up for Trent? Well, it looks like he's going to be. So if Nico Williams does ask for a move, and if that move is done and Nico Williams goes wherever he may go, what we have been briefed as the public is that Liverpool won't look to bring in a replacement because they believe with Conor Bradley coming through and with Joe Gomez that we would have enough cover at right back if Trent needed a rest or, heaven forbid, picked up a knock. So, that's what's been put out there. Whether that's right or that's wrong, with regards to relying on those two, I don't know. But what I will say is, again, looking back to the Athletic and a great piece written by Caoimhe O'Neill, looking into Conor Bradley's background, coming up in Northern Ireland, always playing above his age group, always impressing anybody who's coached him. He does look like a very fine talent. So, my fears of whether Conor Bradley long term will be good enough or not have been somewhat allayed by reading into the background of him. So, it remains to be seen what happens with Nico Williams, but I don't think Klopp will stand in his way if he does want to go and play football. And look, as I've always said, I'll never hold it against anybody that wants to go and play football, because your career's short. And if you're him right now and you're looking ahead and you're seeing Trent Alexander-Arnold in the pecking order ahead of you, you know that it's going to take either an injury or a rest for you to get an opportunity. And even at that, as soon as Trent's back fit, you're probably going to be back on the bench again. So, yeah, whatever happens, I wish the lad the best. I honestly would. Someone should test Barcelona's resolve for Frankie de Jong. Yeah, I mean, I'm quite shocked, Sean, looking around right now. We've seen, a lot of players that Barca want to bring in and stuff, and some that they have but haven't registered. But you're right, mate. I mean, if you're vultures circling around right now, you're looking at Frankie de Jong, you're looking at Pedri, you're looking at Ansu Fati, and there's another guy whose name I just can't pronounce, another young guy who I'm sure somebody will put into the chat, who we should be testing the resolve. Big clubs in England and throughout Europe should be putting pressure on Barca right now and trying to get these guys, because Frankie de Jong is absolutely world class and makes it look so easy, makes really difficult, really high risk stuff in the position he plays look so easy. And so his success rate in what he does is so ridiculously high. And in Pedri, we've already seen in Spain, with Spain in the Euros, how good this kid is at 17. Only 1 year in the door from Las Palmas. So, 1 year left on his deal. There is an option to extend it by 2. I've told you before, there's a bit of humming and hawing around whether both sides have to agree to that clause being extended, or whether Barca can do, against the player. I don't know. But it's a good question. And, the Premier League is where the might and the muscle and the power and the money is right now. So, yeah, I don't disagree with that at all, mate. It's a very, very, very good show from Sean Burke. Well done, Sean. Yeah, good show. No, it's not Ansu Fati. I've said Fati. It's Mariba. That's the guy I was trying to think of. Yes, Mariba. That's the guy. So yeah, there's a few names that I'm just I can't pronounce. Good shout there as well from Subir. Said Danny Olmo, perfect player for Liverpool, one of Spain's best and still underrated. I do like Danny Olmo, mate. Yeah, I would. Another one that I'd be more than happy with to come in the door. Very fine footballer. Impressed me during the Euros as well. So. And impressed me before the Euros. But yes, Danny Olmo, I think, is a good show. So well played, sir. Yes, good show. Vinicius Junior is a quality player and should be bought by a Premier League club. I mean, I don't dispute the lad's quality, mate. I mean, we've seen it firsthand when we played against Real Madrid. But what I would say was, if you're the Real Madrid board right now, and again, they're redoing the Bernabeu, they've got their own financial situation, they really, really want Haaland, they really, really want Mbappe, they've lost Sergio Ramos, obviously, because they needed to cut money and save money. You're going to look to move on probably your more aging, high-earning players than you would your... I'm not saying Vinicius Junior doesn't get paid well, but he's, you still have 4 or 5 years of him and you could still sell him for a huge amount of money. So the smart thing to do would be to move on the high-earning, aging players rather than the young, up-and-coming players. Liverpool preparing Barella bid via Sky Sports Premier League. Well, if that's the case, it seems that they're wasting their time, because all the noises coming out of Inter Milan is that there isn't a number that gets Nicolo Barella out of Inter Milan. So, I mean, would I have him at Liverpool? As I said, I would swim to Italy and bring the lad back. He's that good. But, yeah, unfortunately, I don't see it. But I would have him in a heartbeat. And I'm going to get that Inter Milan shirt as well, the home shirt this season. I mean, it seems to divide opinion, but I think that the new home shirt is a must-have. I mean, in Italy, I would be more of an AC Milan person, but I don't really care about any club in Italy that much to not buy a shirt. So, yeah, I do like that new Inter Milan shirt. I think I'll be having to get that, and the Jimi Hendrix Seattle Sounders purple shirt. I'm trying my best to track that one down as well. Craig, if you were to attract Premier League clubs in order of their ability to attract big players, how would you do it? It's a good question, and I suppose the answer, Manuel, could well lie in what motivates the players. So, if you look at Manchester City right now, well, obviously it isn't their history, but the project of where they are right now with Pep Guardiola, with the facilities that they have, with the financial backing that they have, and the players that are already at the club, you could see how with that manager, with that money and those facilities and the fact they're always challenging, you could see how that would be a very attractive proposition for a footballer. With Liverpool and Manchester United, you have history on your side, you've got European Cups, you've got, in Liverpool's case, a very proven world-class manager. In United's case, a club legend and somebody who seems to be improving as he goes along, but also a club that would outpay Liverpool with regards to wages, and a club that has some good talent coming through and some good young talent, as does Liverpool. So, the attraction of those clubs are fairly straightforward. Then you've got the likes of Leicester City, who, if you were looking to maybe stay for 2 or 3 years and then make another step forward with an ambitious club moving in the right direction, Leicester City's a fine club with very good owners who will give you a good opportunity to play a good brand of football. So I suppose the question just asks them what motivates the player. Is it a coach that you want to go and work with? Do you want a payday? Do you want to play in the Champions Leagues? It depends on each person. That Seattle shirt is rare. It is, but I'll find one, mate. I'll get one. Sooner or later I'll track one down. Mariba, the other guy, yes. Top man, say up, thank you. Craig, please tell LFC chairman not to sell Nat Phillips because he saved us in the Champions League last season. I stand over selling Nat Phillips. I mean, am I grateful for his service? Absolutely. I mean, he'll go down to me in folklore with the, cult heroes that have been at Liverpool, but he's not going to get much of a look in. So if you're Nat Phillips as well, and your stock is at an all-time high now, because let's not forget, it was only in January he was looking at like Barnsley and clubs like that as clubs that were looking to potentially bring him in. And now he's got Premier League clubs that are interested in him. So if I was him and I was Liverpool, now is the right time to sell. But as I said earlier on, I still don't know why, if we're going to do that, why we wouldn't have taken a punt on Ozan Kabak at £8.5 million. Which Liverpool shirt will you get? I've bought the home one. The away one, I think, it divides opinion. Loads of young people like it, but for let's just say a chunky gentleman like myself, that away shirt would not be very flattering. So I went with the home shirt, and that's probably the only one I'll be buying this season. 100% agree with you, Craig. I asked the question because I've recently seen a number of Koulibaly to Everton and just thought it baffled me if he considers. I think the Koulibaly to Everton stuff is obviously because Rafael Benitez will have worked with Koulibaly at Napoli, and because, again, Koulibaly, I think he's if he's not 30, he's certainly just heading for 30, and has never really been given the opportunity to make that move away. I think the Napoli president may actually do something now to let him go, and if he goes to Everton, it'll be a good signing for them, no doubt about it. And Rafael Benitez is the type of manager who, again, would be somebody who, if you played with him, you probably like him, so you could see why that link would make some sense. I've bought the home one, said Addison. My one's still hanging in the wardrobe with the tags on it. I'm not going to wear it until the season starts, or at least till the pre-season games start. And to be honest with you, I'm a little bit scared to put it on in case it's a bit tight on me, because during lockdown hasn't been kind to my waistline, ladies and gentlemen, I can tell you that. The melted Ronald McDonald kit, yeah, that one is... We'd all seen the leaked kit that we thought we might be getting, the pinstripe yellow one with the red and the round collar, and I was waiting with my money in hand, ready to go, buying that kit immediately. But the one that we've seen, the Ronald McDonald melted and had a fight with ketchup and mayo shirt, I don't like the look of that one at all. Ancelotti worked with Koulibaly at Napoli, right? I don't know if he was there when Carlo was there, but I know that Rafa did. One of the preseason games starting. 1 second, I've got the list of games here. Sorry, I opened the wrong thing. So many things on my phone, so many things. Alright, here we go. So, Tuesday the 20th of July, Liverpool are playing two mini games, two 30-minute games. The first one against Wacker Innsbruck at 5 o'clock, an Austrian side, and then the second one against Stuttgart at 5:45. Both of those games will be behind closed doors. Then on the 23rd of July, we're playing Mainz, with a capacity of 3,500 in the ground for that one. And then Thursday, July 29th, we're playing Hertha Berlin and a 15,000 capacity in Innsbruck for that game. So there you go. The games are not behind closed doors, RSH 14. I believe the first two games are behind closed doors, and the rest will have a 3,500 capacity and a 15,000 capacity, at least from what I've read. Connor has put a link in there as well to check out this week's Anfield Agenda One Football News Transfer Roundup. I've condensed everything. I did the talking, Connor did the actual work. Down to about 12 or 13 minutes. So as always, the number that we need that video to get to is 10k views. So if you can help us out, Connor has pinned it to the top of the live chat right there now. Get yourselves over and you can watch that. And also, don't forget about Anfield Agenda Extra, because I know a lot of people don't like to sit through an hour-long stream, or quite frankly haven't got the time to. So what Connor's now doing is Anfield Agenda Extra is our clips channel, and that's where we're putting up basically 2-3 minute versions of the main topics that we talk about on each night's stream. So go over and check that one out as well. And Craig Station, I've got a couple of interviews in the bag. I've got 2 people ready to go, and I need a couple more. So what I'm trying to do is, and I don't know if I'll be able to do this, is get in touch with the legend that is the Pie Face, and or Pie Face I should say, and a couple more that I'm working on, but I've got 2 that have agreed so far. So I want to get 3 or 4 fun interviews recorded before we kick off with Craig Station, so we can really launch with a bang. So, you know, keep an eye on that. It's approaching 24,000 subscribers at this point, which is amazing. So don't forget to go over and subscribe to Craig Station as well. I'm going to stay on, though, if you guys will have me for another 10 minutes or so. I mean, I've seen Jace Roberts just pop into the chat. Jace, how are you? You're a bold boy, Jace, at what I seen on Twitter yesterday. You had me going for a second there, mate, until I read the misspelling of principal owner. But, yeah, that was... I've never seen that like it, Jace, at this moment in time, where there's so many accounts flagrantly flogging fake shirts. And I mean, there's 2 sides to it. I understand from a financial perspective why a parent or person would be attracted to buying a cheaper replica version of the shirt. Of course I understand that, but these are all Liverpool accounts that support the club, and I can only imagine the fume if I was to start selling knockoff Liverpool shirts. So the hypocrisy sometimes gets to me, buddy. And look, I don't knock anybody from the financial aspect of being in a tough position. Football shirts are very expensive. Of course, I understand that. But I just, you know, every one of them sold is one Liverpool shirt that probably isn't sold. And whatever we think about FSG and the owners, you know, we do want to see the club more active in the transfer market and stuff. So I've never seen that like I've seen this summer. I mean, just openly selling them. It's mad. We're still waiting for the 3rd kit. We are, but we know what it is, Connor. I mean, go on the footy headlines and have a look on there. You'll get to see it. It's poo-poo, to be honest with you, buddy. It's a big, big letdown. Jay said he was gutted about the spelling mistake, but you know me, can't resist having a bit of fun. Oh, Jace, I mean, you get away with it because you're a nice fella. If I posted that, I'd be slaughtered, buddy. But you know, I think it was a very good way of doing it. I mean, it was brilliant. Well done, mate. I mean, you know, I wouldn't have spotted the spelling mistake because I'm not that clever, but I had seen that somebody else pointed it out. But it was a good post, Chase. It was. Can we please pray for South Africa? Yes. I mean, Michaela, I've been reading into the situation in South Africa, and look, we don't do religion, we don't do politics on the channel, but what I will say is, you know, to anybody watching from South Africa, stay safe, be well, and you know, hopefully the violence stops, hopefully the death toll doesn't keep rising, and you know, all of our love and best wishes to all the great South African, not just Reds, but people out there. You know, lovely people. Any interactions I've had with South Africans have always been really nice. So yeah, our thoughts and love are of course with everyone in South Africa in this very difficult time, Michaela. Right, what else we got? Should Canade start against Norwich? It looks like he probably will, Jasper. It looks like Van Dijk and Canade could be the duo that starts the campaign. So, you know, obviously we'll see how he gets on in pre-season and all that stuff, but that's certainly the vibe that's coming out. What would your starting lineup be for the opening game? Alisson, Trent, Van Dijk, Canade, Robertson, Fabinho, Thiago, Henderson. See, it's hard to say Henderson there because I'm immediately having to drop one of the front 3 then. So let's go Thiago, Henderson, and then Jota, well, Mane, Jota, Salah, and bring Bobby off the bench. But that's what I think will happen. But if you wanted to go a bit more on the front foot, then of course you could play Jota and Firmino. Canade looks like a monster. Rory saying apparently it'll be Matip and Canade. Well, look, I suppose, mate, I get where you're coming from on that. Joe Gomez and Virgil van Dijk have a lot of catching up to do, and there's a lot of difference between physical fitness and match fitness, so you could well be right, mate. It could be Matip that starts the season with Canade, and Virgil and Joe could get eased back in. So, yeah, I mean, could well be the case, dude. Thoughts on Varane to United? If I was to sit here and say that I thought Varane wasn't a good centre-back, I'd be lying to you. So I think it's a very good piece of business for United, unfortunately. and it looks like it's getting closer and closer to happening. And this kind of goes back to what we spoke about earlier on, about knowing that these clubs are in a bit of a financial mess and, you know, putting your foot down on their throat and squeezing them, because Premier League is where the money is. And United have gone out and signed Jadon Sancho, and they look like they'll get Varane. So, if you're a United fan right now, as much as you hate the owners, and rightly so, the business is at least giving you something to be optimistic about. So yeah, I mean, Maguire and Varane as a centre-back pairing, it's not too bad. Look, I'll be honest about it. I'll always give you my honest views. When I seen somebody call... See, what annoys me is when I read things like... I seen a United fan earlier on calling Konate the Poundland Varane. I mean, that annoys me for a couple of reasons. One, we know Varane's a good defender, experienced, but neither have played a minute in the Premier League, and Konate is only 21 years of age. So I just don't get the disrespect about somebody who we've not seen a minute of yet in the Premier League. And, I'm very happy with the centre-backs we have at Liverpool. I'm sure United fans will be happy with the centre-backs that they have at United. And it's going to be an interesting Premier League campaign, isn't it? I mean, we all hope that Manchester City win nothing, particularly in Europe. And it'll be an interesting one. Your thoughts on Woodburn? My thoughts would be, how much could we get for him if we were to sell him at this point, is the honest answer. I mean, 500k? Would that even be too... I don't know. I just don't see a way back for him. Who do I think Liverpool will sign this summer, said Mikey. And again, Mikey, please just take that this will be a guess, mate. But let's stay Doku and Renato Sanches. That's not who I want. Well, Doku was who I want, but that's where my gut would be right now, unless there's a forward whose name we haven't heard of yet that we'll all be surprised about. Mick Wall said Craig Station should be a live thing. Sort of agree, sort of disagree, Mick. Some stuff will need to be pre-recorded and edited because I've got a particular show that I want to do that will require a lot of post-editing. It's going to be a very uplifting show that I think people will enjoy. The interviews definitely have to be done pre-recorded because I get way too distracted and I feel way too guilty when I do them live and there's people in the chat and I'm not reading out the comments. But that's not to say that there won't be some live interactive stuff, because let's face it, you guys are what make the funny moments funny for me, because it's usually an interaction between myself and somebody in the chat that causes the mayhem and the madness. And Twitter have introduced a really good function, by the way, not Twitter, YouTube, excuse me, where we can now put live polls in. So, we can ask you guys during a stream, for instance, if I'm on Craig Station, here's 4 topics, pick one that you want me to talk about in 5 minutes and we'll have a bit of fun. So there's loads of new features as well coming down the line that make me really excited and looking forward to what's happening. And, you might get a here we go on something else as well over the next week or so. We're getting closer and closer to this. And all things going well, I should be in London next Wednesday doing some filming for a big media company whose name I can't mention yet because nothing's been signed off, even though it sort of is agreed. Well, it's agreed, it's just... Yeah, these things. I don't want to shit the bed before it's announced. So, yeah, lots of good stuff ahead, and it's only because of you guys as always. So look, hit the subscribe button, drop a like on the video, make sure to get over the Craig Station and give a sub there as well. Anfield Agenda Extra, if you've missed a lot of tonight's stream or you don't want to spend an hour going back watching it all, if you go to Anfield Agenda Extra, Connor will be clipping up the best bits of tonight's stream, the big targets, the Saul stuff like that, and it'll be up on Anfield Agenda Extra. But one last favour before I let you guys go, please do watch the One Football news video, the transfer roundup video, because that really helps us out if we can get that up to 10k views. So please do go and watch that one. And is Craig Station football related? No, it isn't. And that's not to say there'd be never any football stuff on it, but it's just whatever we want it to be, mate. That's the beauty of it. We just wanted to do something that didn't pigeonhole us into one form. Let's say I wanted to do a bit of gaming. I can do it on there. Let's say I wanted to jump on and just do a quick live 15 minutes on something that's wound me up. I can do it on there. It doesn't, I get angry about a lot of things in this life, mate, and not just Liverpool. So, it gives me a chance to just broaden my horizons. I'm somebody that's always said I want to keep pushing myself and pushing my boundaries and see, not get comfortable. Well, hopefully this will give me the chance to do it. But again, I'm going to head off and record my ideal transfer window video. So keep an eye out for that one dropping in the next day or two. I'll catch you guys live tomorrow night, I'm sure again. Thank you for tuning in. Hit the subscribe button. Drop a like on the video. Get yourselves over to watch the news roundup. Subscribe to Anfield Agenda Extra. Subscribe to Craig Station. I was going to say Beck Station there. There you are.